All right, I have to look. Biden, wait, not Biden. Jesus, I'm tired. Benjamin, why did you link this 50 times? What is TYT up to? What are they doing? What are they doing, and why do I care?
Because a lot of Democrats are panicking, and I think what they saw on Thursday night, we've got a lot of questions, Stuart.
Did Joe Biden have a bad night, in my opinion? Yes, he absolutely did. Do we have concerns, and do we wish that Joe Biden did better yesterday?
Like that tie,
Why?
hate that
because
suit.
we put people over politics, and we know what's at stake in this country, and we know that this would be devastating to the country and to the world if there is another Donald Trump president.
I am not part of the drama of this town that immediately demands because somebody had a bad night, we're in a crisis.
Oh, we're doomed.
This guy looks like Dan Olson a little bit. He's talking. This guy's talking like the crestfallen knight.
We're in a crisis.
Oh, we're doomed. This is the best we got. The fact
arriving at Firelink Shrine and confronting a Biden staffer. Victory seems a foregone prospect now, doesn't it?
that they're pushing such old candidates forward and saying this is the best we have.
I hear you, brother. And wait till you hear some of the loudest voices urging Biden to stay in the presidential race despite his horrible debate performance last week. And Democrats, meaning the Democratic Party, are even weighing an early formal nomination of Biden in order to squash any efforts to swap him out with a different candidate.
Remember, at 9:30 tomorrow, we're apparently having an all hands on deck staff meeting within the Democrats. The chief of not the chief of staff, the staff head. Didn't TYT basically say they would refuse to vote for Biden? Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think Biden's winning, man. My interest in advocating for like the vote blue no matter who thing goes down quite a bit when I feel like the blue they want us to vote for is actively impeding us from voting for the other blue that would actually win. Like, if Biden ends up being the nominee, like, yeah, you got to go vote for him, but holy dude, they're killing all of us.
We're going to get to more on that in just a moment, and it is a spicy story to say the least. Hold on for that. But first, let's talk about the meeting that occurred over the weekend between Joe Biden and his family members. They were in Camp David, and they have decided to blame everyone else for Biden's failure while urging
Gaslight getting the Vosh. Benjamin, you give me a video of Anna Kasparian shit-talking Biden after the debate performance, and you're not going to get a lot of disagreement from me. I'm sorry. I'm, like, pretty furious. It is only because of my Siddhartha-like self-control and discipline that I'm capable of not just, like, whipping myself into a frothing rage every time I hit go live on the ineptitude of the Democrats. But like, they are killing us, you know that? They're driving the knife in and they're twisting it.
Biden to remain in the race. They argue that Biden was not prepared to pivot more to go on the attack. They're alleging that he was forced to spend more time defending his record rather than outlining his vision for the future. So in that regard, they're blaming the debate moderators. You've just been president for several years. I think you should expect to have to defend your record, but okay. And they also...
Yeah, the lefty, this is how Bernie can still win, versus the neoliberal, this is how Biden can still win. That's true, literally, that's true. Guys, okay? Guys, Biden can still win. We just have to beat every single poll showing Trump is massively ahead. We just have to calm the nerves of every single person in the party, both staff and elected officials. We just have to dissuade the 75% of Democrat voters who think that Joe Biden should be replaced with somebody else. You know, he can still win. He can still win.
Argue that he was overworked and not well rested. And these ridiculous talking points obviously reached the Democratic leadership in Congress. In fact, here's an example from James Clyburn.
Yes, it was a bad performance. I've been around these things. I've been a part of debate preparation before, and I know what when I see what I call preparation overload. And that's exactly what was going on the other night. I saw Joe Biden grabbing for words and phrases and even numbers that he was loaded up with. The next day, he gets to North Carolina.
I'm noticing libs admitting it was bad, but never describing how bad it was. Yeah, no, they can't acknowledge it. Like, bad is the first Obama debate against Romney, right? What happened with Joe Biden was like okay, after Obama's lackluster performance against Romney, there was not 75% of Democrat voters saying that Obama should drop out and make way for another person. Yeah, it was catastrophic. It wasn't like, oh, he had a bad night. It was like, holy shit, this guy cannot win, you know?
Freewheeling, and he captivated the audience.
I believe on Friday in North Carolina, he had a teleprompter.
Joe Biden has a history of stuttering. He did that as a child. All of us know.
Embarrassing.
How stutterers operate. I went to school with one. So when you have trouble getting out a word...
Another, like, octogenarian Democrat, by the way, lecturing us that what we saw didn't happen, you know? Ignore the evidence of your eyes and ears. Joe Biden just stuttered. That's what happened up there. He was stuttering. That was the nature of what he was doing up there. It wasn't a complete inability to communicate. It was just stuttering, you know?
That is what comes from stuttering. But when he expressed opinions... he was on the money with the opinions. He may not have gotten the word out, but the thoughts were great.
Oh, thank you, Clyburn. Oh, that's great. It's good to know that in the land of thought, Biden was nailing it, you know? That's fantastic. I love... This is like establishment Democrats for you. They f***ing hate you, dude. They hate you. They hate you. You have no idea how much they hate you. Your fragile mind would be burnt to a crisp if you could for a moment experience the amount of hatred the average senile institutionalist centrist Democrat feels for the median voter for 1 femtosecond, okay? It would annihilate you.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm no longer going to be a registered Democrat. I'm going to re-register as an independent because I'm not going to just whole cloth support a party that feels the need to insult voters like that. I
don't give a shit. Say it, spit it, sister. Whatever the f, I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah,
that was insulting and disrespectful to say the least, okay?
Ocean gaslighting. That's what's happening here. They're basically pre-announcing, we are going to gaslight you, and now watch us do it. Did you hear that last comment? He said, yeah, he didn't get the words out, but he had the thoughts right.
No.
Wait. Hold on. How would you know? If he didn't get the words out, how do you know which thoughts were in his head? Do you understand the level of absurdity we're dealing with here? So the whole country saw Joe Biden melt on that debate stage.
Correct.
And these idiots are going out there and going, no, he didn't. No, don't believe you're lying us.
I'm sorry, Benjamin. I'm very sorry, man. I usually have a rule against watching videos that I agree with, but like, yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, they're kind of on point with this one. Jesus. TYT just wants to push their alt candidate bullshit through. I want to push my alt candidate bullshit through. Get Whitmer up there, man. I want to. Get me up there.
I know why they're doing it. Because a third of the country will believe anything a Democratic leader says.
Just like a third of the country will believe anything the Trump camp says.
100%.
This is MAGA through and through. Let's keep it real.
No, now I'm positive there's blue MAGA, and I'm deeply, deeply disappointed. You can say, hey, Cenk, you know what? You're naive. Of course, Democrats are just as deluded as Republicans, but it didn't seem like it. Republicans have staked their claim to a number of things that are preposterously untrue, but now the Democrats have joined them.
The difference is Republicans fear their constituency. Republicans might lie constantly. They might present a completely different worldview, but Republicans will adjust their messaging and strategy to accommodate the interests and voting preferences of their constituency. This is known as a democracy, where the party does stuff that the voters of the party want. Meanwhile, over with the fucking Democrats, they don't give a shit, dude.
Saying that Biden, it was his staff. How did his staff make him 81? How did his staff make him forget everything he was saying?
They're throwing Anita Dunn. They're throwing Anita Dunn under the bus. That's the senior advisor who.
If you, the voting majority, tell the Democrats, 75% apparently, hey, we don't want Biden to be the head. The arrogant Clintonite neoliberal dipshits who run the party from New York City are going to tell you, no, sweetie, sorry, you don't know what's best for you. Don't worry, we know how to run this party just fine. You'll vote for these guys. You'll vote for Hillary Clinton. We know she's incredibly unpopular and nobody likes her and there's a million signs that she's doing poorly and she flubs constantly. No, we know best, sweetie. It's her turn. The arrogance, the presumptuousness, that's a big difference, man. Donald Trump is one arrogant motherfucker. However, here's something he doesn't do. Does Donald Trump come across as entitled to Republican votes? My argument would be no. Actually, because he's so keen on the applause, he often comes across as quite, you know, like, not conciliatory is not the right word. He tries to argue them in. He's obsessed with approval from the voters. So every time he goes out there on stage, he makes arguments. They're dishonest arguments. I'm not crediting him for being correct, but he does attempt to make arguments for the favor of the party. Whereas oftentimes from the Democrats, it seems like they're telling you why you're stupid if you don't like them, right? Donald Trump goes out there and he argues why you should like him. The Democrats go out there and argue that you should like them. Does that make sense? Am I waffling? I feel like it's a meaningful distinction. I feel like the Hillary Clinton campaign was her going out there and going, I'm the adult in the room. I know what I'm talking about. I have the experience. Of course you should like me. Whereas Donald Trump will go out there and attempt to actually make the voters like him. Something that Hillary Clinton put clearly no effort into. And we're seeing the same thing now, where Donald Trump goes out there and campaigns and argues why he would be a good president. Again, he's wrong, he's lying, but he does make the arguments. Whereas Joe Biden goes out there and he just says, here's our record, we're better than them. Which sounds similar, but it's not quite the same. Democratic strategists will go out there, allies of the Democrats, Democratic, elected officials, whatever they'll go out there and they'll say, yeah, of course you should go vote for Joe Biden. Don't you know that our democracy is on the line? Yeah, of course you should do this. What are you, a bedwetter? What are you, one of the rabble-rousers in the party who's dissatisfied with the decrepit, atrocious performance of the president? I think there's a meaningful difference. Yeah, the Dems talk down to people. Donald Trump does not talk down to people at rallies. He comes across as very personable, very person-forward, very I'm here with you. Again, he's lying. It's fake populism, but he succeeds in doing that. That's the reason why every Republican thinks that Donald Trump is down to earth, even though he's a billionaire coastal elite from New York. Yeah, Trump talks down to his enemies, not his fans. Democrats, on the other hand, will talk equally to Republicans, but down to their own voters. Democrats will talk down to voters. Of course you should vote for Joe Biden. Why wouldn't you vote for Joe Biden? Look at everything that he's done. But then to Republicans, they'll do this like disingenuous reaching across the aisle thing. Their priorities are completely mixed up, man. They should be contemptuous to their opposition and egalitarian to their fans.
Frequently has the president's ear. Dunn's husband is also being thrown under the bus. That's Bob Bauer, the president's attorney who played Trump in the rehearsals for the debate. Ron Klain, the former chief of staff who ran point on the debate prep and previous cycles sessions. Yeah. It's just they're throwing everyone else under the bus, while simultaneously gaslighting the American people into thinking that we didn't all see what we all saw with our own two eyes. We didn't hear what we all heard with our own two ears. And look, I have my issues with Jake Tapper, but here he is calling a spade, and I have a lot of respect for anyone in the media.
Dems treat their voters as a problem to be solved. Trump wants to feel like he's selling a product the base wants to buy. I think that's a perfect way of framing it. A perfect way of framing it. The interests of the Dems constituency is something they're like, okay, and they try to work around it or like change their interest or in some way like they try to disingenuously accommodate it. Whereas Trump is always selling himself to the audience. Biden doesn't sell himself to us, not really.
Media who's willing to tell the truth. Let's watch.
Biden campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon holding a call with party leaders earlier today, telling them this too shall pass. There is a discernible pattern of Democratic officials seemingly trying to convince you, the public, to not believe what you saw and what you heard with your eyes and with your ears on Thursday night. Democratic officials have tried to spin this in many ways. They said President Biden just had a cold. They said it was just one off night, akin to when President Obama in 2012 was rusty and seemed a little huffy. But behind the scenes, make no mistake, most Democratic officials witnessed the same shocking spectacle that you did.
The Democratic Party has made a clear decision here. And that clear decision is to protect the selfishness and the ego of Joe Biden and his family members, clearly, who are urging him to stay in the race, over the best interests of the future of the country. Or
never listen, okay? Mark sells seething and coping when confronted with the reality of great man theory, Chads, okay? I think this goes beyond corporate interest. I think a lot of it is just sheer f***ing arrogance. Genuine, authentic, sheer f***ing arrogance that the Democrats have had, that running amok in the Democratic Party for decades. Pure f***ing ego. Hillary Clinton was maybe the worst public invocation of it, but it's been the case for all of them. Clinton, Schumer, Pelosi was monstrous about this, where you have these dinosaurs in office who genuinely think that because they're the adults in the room, they have like an infinite mandate for political rule in the future. Still not over Sinema. Well, Sinema kind of ran her own path, you know?
over the best interests of Democratic voters who overwhelmingly believe that Biden should not be running for re-election right now.
Yeah. So let me give you a George Orwell quote, and then I'm going to back it up with overwhelming evidence. So he wrote in 1984, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears."
This is like, Jenk, I love you. This was like me in sophomore year making an argument. Have you heard of this quote from the book 1984?
It was their final, most essential command. Now you tell me that's not exactly what's happening here. Orwell was an unmitigated genius. That is exactly right. So now let's talk about who they is, because there's one decision maker here. NBC News, New York Times, Axios, all saying who the top decision maker is, and it's Jill Biden. So Dr. Jill Biden has decided that she is staying in the race, so Joe will have to stay with her, okay?
We've instantly veered into the psychotic, the realm of the mad. Jill Biden's literally just being supportive of her husband. Like, Jill and Joe Biden have been in a very difficult position because being the president and the first lady is not easy, obviously. Like, that's clearly a difficult position to be in. It's not an easy job. She's been supportive of her husband through thick and thin for decades. She's just supportive. She's not like the secret decision maker. Of course she's supporting him.
And so this is not hyperbole, guys, and it's all of the major outlets reporting this. So now when, like, for example,
yeah, this isn't like a Lady Macbeth thing. She's not like the secret puppet master or whatever. She's just like a supportive wife, you know?
Anita Dunn, Ron Klain, etc., or whether you like them or not, agree with them or not, and Bob Bauer as well, like legendary Democratic staffers. And for that, you could hate them, okay? They have been involved in victories, they've been involved in defeats, and they are beloved in Washington, okay? Now, all of a sudden, after a career where you told us that they were infallible, whenever I questioned Anita Dunn, people were like, how dare you? I've literally been kicked out of rooms in Washington for questioning Anita Dunn.
Yep.
It's just conspiratorial and not productive. I agree. I think this is an actual detraction from what is otherwise a strong set of points to correctly spite the Democrats for their behavior here, for their dishonesty and their egotism, and then to be like, well, it's actually all Jill Biden. I think that's very dumb.
But now all of a sudden, she's under a bus.
Under a bus, right?
Okay.
Because precious Biden, we got to protect his feelings. We have to protect his ego, and he and his family insist on continuing with this sham presidential run. And by the way, just to give you guys the receipts, as reported by Politico, let's go to graphic 2 here. First Lady Jill Biden and his son Hunter Biden were the loudest voices urging the president to stay in the 2024 contest. I can't believe how little regard they have for their own family member here. Because look, let me just be a human for a second. Put politics.
Okay, I agree with that. Okay, wait, hold on. I don't want to get caught arguing against position that I actually agree with. I think it's psychotic that the future of our country right now is hinging on the support of Hunter and Jill. The fact that we heard a report that Hunter Biden was apparently present at like a big staff meeting, like you have all of these seasoned political officials meeting with Biden, and Hunter Biden, who is not a government official in any way, shape, or form, and never has been. Yeah. They shouldn't be in the room. When listen, when Biden's at Camp David, like gooning out to assuage the depression from the bad debate, yeah, the family can be there. If Joe Biden is at a staff meeting, Hunter Biden needs to be out of the room, dude. You are not, you aren't him. Get out. Who the do you think you are? You're not an advisor. You're a playboy crack fiend. That's what you're good at. Bro thinks he's on the team.